When we think about our mission, the mission is to provide literacy resources to individuals across the lifespan. And when we do that, we think about how we serve adults on one end of this continuum and how we serve younger learners on the other end of the continuum. We're very proud of the way that Tutor901 creates a teacher pipeline. A lot of the tutors that come to us, they're probably not quite sure about what they want to do as a career. So we have college students that are participating who are now looking at education as a career choice. We have individuals that have been in the workplace for a little while. Now they're rerouting their goals and they're becoming teachers. I think that to date, we've had about 12, maybe 13 individuals who have been recruited as teachers when they were once tutors in Tutor901. Another result that we look at is just the number of kids that move from below grade level to on grade level. And that's one thing that we're really proud of. Students will come to us at the beginning of the year in the fall, and after they take their first assessment, we see that they're a couple of grade levels behind. But when we work with them through the year, 12 weeks in the fall, 12 weeks in the spring, and at the end of that time in the spring, we see that they're on grade level, and we're very proud of that. We do the work in Memphis Shelby County schools, and what we've seen is that Memphis Shelby County schools is a direct representation of the city of Memphis and Shelby County. So we understand that Memphis and Shelby County are majority Black in their population. The school district reflects that as well. So we're serving students that look like communities that we serve. The other thing that we do with our tutor selection, we tend to make sure that tutors are representative of the communities that we serve. So a lot of our tutors come from the communities in which the schools are located. A lot of our tutors went to school in Memphis Shelby County schools. A lot of our tutors simply grew up in Memphis and Shelby County. So they represent the space from which they're connected to. The other thing I would say is just the materials that we use, the books that we distribute. We are a high volume book distributor, and all of our books meet the needs of meeting a diverse population. So whether it is a Latinx family, whether it is a Black family, we have books that cater to each of these ethnicities and cultures.
We utilize a district-approved already curriculum based on the Common Core State Standards, or CCSS standards, handed down from the Tennessee Department of Education, and that revolves around the 2 strands of literacy for comprehension and vocabulary. Now, when it comes to the other 3 strands for fluency, phonological awareness, and phonics, we use a myriad of curricula to create the programming that we use for that component. So it's a mixture, a nice little melting pot of academic resources. We start with a really cool ACEs training, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences, led by our family engagement leader. He creates a really amazing experience for them to understand not only childhood experiences, but also the trauma and how that can impact the cognitive behavior for students, and also how can it affect their literary journey. But we also provide professional development around understanding the curriculum that we utilize, teaching them how to do deliberate practice. We also create professional development on skills training. Phonics was a long time ago for a lot of us adults. You know, we're talking 2nd and 3rd grade, 1st grade. And so for some of us, that was 20, 25 years ago. And so remembering the distinction between a long A and a short A takes a little bit of professional development to reteach, for us to retool our brains. So those are just a few components of professional development we offer. When we think about lesson planning, the TSMs, who are tutor support managers, we're all former educators. And so we utilize the scripted teachers edition of the workbook as a guide for us, and then we annotate on top of that. And so we make it extremely digestible. Our tutors come from all types of backgrounds, all types of demographics. And so they're high school graduates who are recent, all the way up to retired teachers, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles. And so since all of them are not educators with that background, we make sure that they're able to digest what they're learning by annotating on top of the teacher's edition, giving them clues and hints on how to roll that instruction out. It's super meaningful to help make sure that people understand what they're teaching and how to teach it. So a day of tutoring looks like tutors arriving bright and early, regardless of what their start time is, getting signed in at their school site, and preparing by internalizing the day's lesson. So that way they're not figuring out what they're doing in the moment, but having a moment to internalize that beforehand. Then the first session starts. So for my particular cohort, the Demore cohort, we always start with an SEL component, or social emotional learning, a daily check-in. So before we talk about curriculum or asking them to answer a question or focus on a vocabulary tool, we check in with their emotional state. How are you doing? And so we use emojis and also tier 2 or higher level vocabulary to help kids name their emotions. After that, that, we begin with our PPF, which is our phonics and phonological and fluency component, which is a new component for a lot of our tutors. So it's where we focus on phonics instruction, letter sounds, decoding. We focus on fluency, which is the ability and the speed at which you read, and also teaching them how those different sounds pair together, which is an essential part of reading. It's kind of hard to learn the vocabulary of the words you're trying to read if you can't pronounce the sounds that those letters make. And so after that, it takes about 10 to 12 minutes. We rotate into our comprehension and vocabulary component, which is our iReady work. So we spend the next 30 minutes going through the lessons inside the workbook, and then we wrap up with our session wrap-ups, which allow us to tie all those pieces together and make sure that we are strategically reminding kids of the standard that they're focusing on. Not so much the item that they learned about, but more so the skill set. And then we send them back to class with some new tools that they can use in that particular day.
We have a pretty seamless, collaborative relationship with the tutors. We did a little bit of comparative data from students who did not participate in the program and students who did in regard to our benchmark assessments and the state test, and we found that there was a trend of students who participated in the literacy program scoring moderately higher than those who did not. Programs like Tutor901 are important for student success because they build the capacity of the classroom teacher. They allow students to receive more individualized support for their specific deficit areas because we're able to break them into smaller groups. My hope is that the program would evolve in the future by providing tutoring and support to broader grade bands. Right now, they are supporting students in grade 2 and 3, and I know there's some funding for students in grade 4, but we can never have too many resources in schools here in Memphis. The Tutor901 program integrates into the regular school schedule pretty seamlessly because we were mindful of the partnership when creating our master schedule for the school year, doing our floor plan, assigning student rosters, assigning interventionists. We were able to pretty much create a seamless integration. I believe the Tutor901 program should be in more schools across the district because it helps build the capacity of the Tier 1 teacher intervention programs, and it helps give students more individualized supports in their literacy deficit areas.
Every year, we see that Memphis Shelby County schools, students associated with the school district have reading challenges, particularly those in the 3rd grade. We want to make sure that Tutor901 stays in place to meet the needs of those students. Go to our website, literacymidSouth.org. There's a tab on our webpage that says donate. You click on that, and there's these different ways that you can contribute to the organization.